Hello and welcome to ProjectWise Administrator Fundamentals Accreditation course, Users, Groups, and User Lists. In this lesson, we will learn how to create users so that they can access ProjectWise. We will also learn how to create groups as well as user lists. Next, we are going to assign users to the groups as well as user lists. Finally, we will go through the difference between groups and user lists. From the previous lesson, we have enabled the desired user settings in the user template. Now we can go ahead and create some users. Let's go to the users node, right mouse click, new user. Name is just an alias. It can be in the format of first name, last name, or vice versa, or really anything which makes sense to you. It can even be first name, comma, last name. So for example, Gary, comma, Thompson. When users check out a document, this name defined here will be used to display who checks out the document. Description is optional as well as email, but email will be used to notify users when PDF is generated. Email will also be used when users use the ProjectWise command send to attach a document or send a link in an email. There are three different methods users can log into ProjectWise. If we want users to use their Bentley IMS account to automatically log into ProjectWise, then in the security type, select Bentley IMS. Then on the Bentley IMS tab, enter the Bentley IMS account. Typically, this is the user email address. The Bentley IMS provider can be left blank as it will automatically be populated when user has successfully logged into ProjectWise using their IMS account. If you are using an older version of ProjectWise Administrator, instead of seeing Bentley IMS, you will see Federated Identity. Let's go back to the General tab. If you are not using Bentley hosted data sources and your organization is hosting your own data, you can choose Windows or Windows Synchronize. And then in the Windows domain, you can enter your organization domain name. So for example, Bentley. When the security type is of Windows Synchronize or Windows, a valid Windows account needs to be entered here. ProjectWise administrators can configure users to log into ProjectWise automatically using their Windows credentials. However, this option is not applicable to Bentley hosted data sources. When users don't have a Windows credential or even a Bentley IMS account, it is still possible to allow them to access ProjectWise by creating a user with security type of logical. With this type of account, username and password will be provided by the ProjectWise administrator. We will make the password to be exactly the same as the username and then go ahead and hit apply. If users forget their passwords, ProjectWise administrator can reset the password for users via the same dialog window. FYI, for users who access ProjectWise via their Windows credentials or Bentley IMS account, their passwords are actually not maintained in ProjectWise, and it is managed externally by Windows Active Directory as well as Bentley IMS provider. As soon as ProjectWise administrator create the ProjectWise account, users will be able to log into ProjectWise Explorer right after. So let's go ahead and try that out. Log in. We can verify that one of the options that are set in the user template is correct, as Gary Thompson is getting his own unique working directory. So let's go ahead and click yes. Since the password is exactly the same as the username, the user can go to Tools, Options. Here, user can enter the old password as well as defining a new password of their choice. In this lesson, we will need to create 11 users. The usernames are listed on this slide here. Security type will need to be set to logical. Password, make it exactly the same as the username. Just a little hint, when we create a new user and enter the username, if we leave the password blank, ProjectWise will make the password to be exactly the same as the username. In ProjectWise, the username is not case sensitive, but the password is. Another hint, at the time when we create the user, if we don't have their IMS account yet, what we can do is we can create the user with the security type of logical. But as soon as we know their IMS account, we can always go back to the existing user and then go to the Bentley IMS tab and just enter their IMS account. This is how we can associate a Bentley IMS account to an existing ProjectWise user. Now that the users have been created, let's go ahead and take a look at the groups. So let's go to the groups node. There are two built-in groups that are readily available when we first connect to a ProjectWise data source, and they are administrator and restricted administrator. Later on, we will cover in more details regarding these two groups. But for now, let's see how we can create a new group in ProjectWise. So go to the groups node, right mouse click, new group. Similar to users, if your organization is hosting your own data, you can bring in Windows group into ProjectWise. So once again, this option is not applicable to Bentley hosted data sources. So we're just going to select logical. Let's go ahead and enter the group name. Project leaders. Description is optional. There is only one reason to have groups in ProjectWise. It is actually used to manage users who need the same security rights to the folders and documents. In later lessons, we will see how groups can be properly utilized. So now that we have given the group a name, let's go ahead and decide who should be part of these project leaders. We can go to the Members tab and then click on the Add button, select BIM Manager, and then hit OK. This is only one way of assigning users to a group. Let's go ahead and click OK. Once a group is already created, we can assign users to the group via the Users node. So for example, we also want Project Manager to be a member of the Project Leaders group. We can select Project Manager, go to the Member of tab, and then click Add and select Project Leaders. Go ahead and hit OK, and then OK again. We have just seen how a group is created, as well as two different methods to assign users to be a member of the group. The second exercise for this lesson, we will need to create 5 groups. They are project leaders, designers, trackers, contractor 1, and contractor 2. We also need to assign the relevant group members to these 5 groups. Now that the 5 groups have been created and members have been assigned, let's go ahead and take a look at user list. To create a user list, right mouse click, new, user list. User lists are very similar to groups. It is used to manage members who need the same security rights to folders and documents. In later lessons, we will see how user lists can be properly utilized. But for now, we're just going to go and create the user list. Give it a name of users. The description is optional. There are actually 2 types of user lists that we can use in ProjectWise. The first type of user list can be used to assign members who need the same security rights to the folders and documents. The second type of user list that we can create in ProjectWise is a mailing list. Mailing lists in ProjectWise can be created to send messages to project team members. But in this lesson, we will only concentrate on the first option. Let's go ahead and go to the Members tab and then click on the Add button. User list is very different from groups in that when we create a group, the members of the group can only be users. But when we create a user list, the members can be users and it can also be user groups as well. So let's go ahead and select trackers and designers group. On top of that, we can also assign an individual user. So from the drop down, let's go ahead and select users. We will choose coordinator. So just a quick recap, user list, the members can be groups as well as users or even other user lists as well. But when we are creating a group, the group members can only be users. Let's go ahead and hit OK. The final exercise for this lesson, we will need to create 2 user lists, and they are users and external. We will also need to assign the relevant members to these 2 user lists, which is listed on this slide. Here is the tip of the day, and hopefully you will find it useful. Remember the user settings that we covered in the last lesson, where we had to manually select the user or users? In order to modify the user settings for multiple selections of users. Now that we have groups and user lists already created, we can select the users based on the groups or the user list that they are a member of by simply going to the users node, right mouse click, select users by groups and lists. In this dialog window, the number next to the group name, this let us know the number of users that are in a particular group. We can select the group or the groups that we are interested in. Click on select. Users that are member of the group that we just selected are highlighted in the background. We can simply right mouse click on one of the selected users and click on properties. This will allow us to modify the user settings for multiple selection of users. So at the end of this lesson, we should have created a total of 11 users. We also have created 5 groups and assigned the users accordingly. We also have created 2 user lists with the relevant groups assigned. During this lesson, we have learned how to create users, groups, and user lists. We also learned how to assign users to groups as well as user lists. We also learned the difference between groups and user lists.
Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and share it with others. If you want to see more like it, please consider subscribing to this and Bentley's other channels. Thank you, and see you next time.